Good day, everybody, and welcome to today's episode, which is episode 43 of my YouTube video series. And today we're going to talk about a topic which is called the Singapore Population Report 2023, which was just released by the Singapore government in September, end of September. And I think it's something that has not been spoken about in the media quite a fair bit. Not many people in social media or in the official media has talked about the report and how this will impact Singapore as well as JB property market in the years to come. So this is my opinion of it. I'm going to give you my 2 cents because I think it's something that should be talked about more often, because of course population will play a big role in how our property market will function in the years to come. So as per usual, let's start with an introduction of myself.
Director of Alpha Marketing at
Ryan Still in Iskandar, Malaysia. So my name is Ryan. Namaste, Ryan.
6,000 incoming supply in Johor. This is
I am writing thank you for attending today's presentation on Iskandar, Malaysia.
So my name is Ryan Khoo. I'm a Malaysian, but I'm also a Singapore PR. I've been based in Singapore since 2009. I buy and sell real estate. I own real estate. I own lots of property in Malaysia, Singapore. I've transacted many times in both countries. I'm normally referred to as someone to speak to on Malaysian property, especially in Johor Bahru or Iskandar. And you will see me on the circuit, Property Guru, iProperty, HProp. I've written articles for them, ST Property, with relations to property market in Malaysia, Singapore, as well as property investing in general. I'm also a property agent. I do transactions as well in Singapore and Malaysia. So I've written 2 books on Iskandar, Malaysia as well. I'm also known as an author there and a speaker and at some of these events. Yeah, so that's my qualifications, right? So before we start, if you like my content, do like, share, and subscribe. Hope to add more useful, interesting video content to help people on this property investment journey. Okay, so why is population, how do population trends affect the property market right now? There's 2 ways to look at it, of course, in the positive and the negative aspect right now. The negative thing that I think a lot of people don't talk about is that actually globally population growth is slowing down. Okay, if population growth slows down, that is bad for property, right? So negative, right? And we see this today, right? In our parents' generation or in our grandparents' generation, it's very common to see people have 5 children, 10 children even, right? Like my mother is in a family of 10 siblings, right? And those days people have a lot of kids, right? And that actually fueled the population boom, right? I think in the past 20, 30 years globally, right? But today, if you, as everybody knows, right? People are having fewer and fewer children, right? China had a one-child policy that's affecting them today, right? Singapore today is quite uncommon to see people have beyond 2 kids, right? And you see many couples who choose not to have children, right? So if that is the trend moving forward, isn't that bad for the property market, right? Because fewer children means fewer population, the population may shrink or stabilize, right? And that is bad for the property market. Furthermore, we have aging, people getting older, right? And when they get older, their property needs will change. They may not require so big houses, right? They will require smaller space. They may move into retirement living concepts, right? And that will also reduce demand for property, right? And old people won't buy as much property as young people, right? So that is the other challenge, right? So this is the negatives, right? On the positive aspect, however, is that we have urbanization. Urbanization means people move from the rural areas, from the kampong and the less populated area. They move into the cities, right? Because that's where they get jobs, right? Where there's more quality of life, right? And higher income, right? So you will see this, right? People move from kampong to towns, to cities, right? Not towns, cities, right? And you see that especially in Singapore, right? Because Singapore is a high income country. So lots of people try to come to Singapore to earn the high income, right? So on that perspective is a positive, this population trend, right? Where big cities such as Singapore will get a majority of the human and the talent, right? And they will grow. And you will see these 2 factors play a lot in the Singapore property market, Singapore Population Report 2023. Now, this report was released by this strategy group of the Prime Minister's office. Okay, so this is Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong's strategy group. Okay, so don't play. This is a quite serious thing. Okay, and this report was issued just barely a week plus ago, 29th of September. Now, the interesting part about this report, right? Let me go through the key trends, which is summarized here, right? Is that to me, the biggest thing is actually the Singapore population is now 5.9 million. Actually, this was the headline in the media, right? Singapore population today, in case you don't know, is 5.9 million people, right? And I'll come to that later, but let's go through some key trends in this report. Now, number one is the number of marriages. Actually, the number of marriages are higher last year, but actually this is because COVID dropped a lot. Because during COVID, people cannot get married. So a lot of people delayed their marriages because they couldn't get married during COVID, right? And this pushes over into 2022 lah. But actually overall, you can see here this important statement, annual average number of marriages remain lower than the preceding 5 years, which means fewer people are getting married. Okay, I repeat, fewer people are getting married. So negative for property. Okay, number two, citizen births. Okay, 30,000 citizens were born in Singapore last year, 4% lower than 2021, right? This and then and the average is also lower than the previous 5 years. So number of children being born in Singapore lower. Okay, number of children being born in Singapore lower. In fact, the total fertility rate, TFR, is 1.04. Okay, now in case you don't know what TFR rate, means TFR is total fertility rate, which means the average number of children born to a woman across her lifetime. That means the average woman in Singapore only give birth to one child, 1.04. Average woman in Singapore only give birth to one child, which is jialat. One only. You know what one means? One means for every couple, because to have a woman, there must be to have a children, there must be a man. The man must, impregnate the woman, right? So one woman, one man, one couple only produce one child. Means two produce one. So effectively, we are halving, So if you assume that every man only got one wife, or every wife has only one husband, right? In a sense, the proper number to balance our population should be 2 lah. The TFR should be 2 lah. So you give birth to one girl, one boy, so-called replacing the parents, right? Minimum must be 2 lah, right? Ideally 3 or more to keep the population growing, right? But if the TFR is 1, means every couple only produce one child. They are not replacing themselves. No, it's like we self-impose the China one-child policy. Singapore, it's like we self-impose the one-child policy, right? So every couple only have one child, in a sense, right? In a layman speaking terms, every couple only produce one child on average in Singapore, which is good. So this is why number of children going down, right? Marriages are going down, right? Less people getting married, less children are being born. And even during COVID, right, when people got nothing at home, nothing to do, no work at home all the time, husband and wife still don't want to have children. Right? You see your husband and wife every day, have more me time together, still they produce less children. You would think that during COVID, people will, have sex more and have more children, right? But apparently not, right? Number of children still going down. Okay, yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Third point. But however, right, as of June, Singapore population go up. Despite less marriages and less children, Singapore population went up to 5.92 million. Okay, 5.92 million, and actually comparable if you factor in COVID pandemic issues, and the average growth rate is still equivalent to the preceding 5-year period. So it means population still grow up. So if birth is less, marriage is less, population go up. The population come from where? Right, and I'm sure as many of you know, population increase is number one, PR. More PRs have been approved. Of course, I think there's also more citizens coming into Singapore. More people are converted to Singapore citizens. And actually, the last point is here. Non-resident population increased by 13%. Okay, that means a lot more foreigners are in Singapore now. Okay, I repeat, a lot more foreigners are in Singapore now. So whether they are PR or non-PR, or they are from the helper in your home, to the construction worker on the street, right, to the guy behind your kitchen, the Malaysian behind your kitchen doing your zi cha, right, preparing the food in the market, right, this population actually is the one that increased quite a fair bit, 13%. So for work permit holder, construction, marine, shipyard, you can see, right, yeah, and of course, government also put in a lot of workers to catch up on work delayed by COVID-19. So this population has increased quite a fair bit. And you will see that without this population increase, right, Singapore economy will also have some trouble to grow, right? If you don't have all these people, who's going to do your construction, right, and your marine shipyard work, right, and the factories, right? These are the people who are running all these jobs in Singapore. So they are required to keep the economy running and growing. Okay, so these are the 5 key points to take note, right? One more thing that was mentioned here is the aging, right? We shall cover in another slide later, right? So you can see, right, during COVID period, right, foreign employment dropped because a lot of foreigners get sent back during COVID, since you can't work anyway, so a lot of foreigners were sent back. But in 2021, 2022, 2023, you can see the numbers spike up back quite a fair bit, okay? Which is, again, to catch up a lot of the work that probably was lost during COVID, and also to keep the economy pushing forward again, right? And you can see this also in the population growth. So it went negative during COVID because everybody went back home to their home country, but went back up again. So we are now at 5.92 million. I think it's probably the highest population number in Singapore today. So if you find that today you go out in Singapore and hey, very packed, like very crowded in Singapore, a lot of mountain people, mountain sea, you're not wrong, because there are the maximum number of people in Singapore today, highest ever record, 5.92 million. Now, will this number grow, right? And this is again part of something I mentioned just now, urbanization. Lots of people come to Singapore, choose to come to Singapore, prefer to come to Singapore because Singapore pays well, right? Sing dollar is strong. People want to earn the currency rate, right? So Singapore is an attraction for workforce, right? And that's a good thing, right? Again, I want to repeat, this is a good thing, right? Because you attract the best talent globally, right? Because if you pay the best salaries, of course, all the best talent want to be here as well. And that's a good thing. I know there are some negative side effects, like you feel the overcrowding in Singapore, but overall to government, I think that is more win than lose. Okay, so move on. Now, this is a article I took from 10 years ago. If you look at my article, right, this is published in January 2013, which is 11 years ago. Now, I like to use this because some of you may recall that 10 years ago, or actually 11 years ago, the government said that they want to hit a population of 6.9 million by 2030, which is actually about 6 years from now. Government want to hit 6.9 million. This was the plan, right? And government said that this is the number that Singapore should do to keep the Singapore economy growing and strong, right? And this is the this was figure, right? When this figure was first released, there was a lot of negative feedback because people say, hey, how can Singapore, this island, fit 6.9 million people? There's too many people, it's too crowded, our infrastructure cannot cope, right? And there's a lot of negative feedback to this. And of course, the government felt that, yeah, this was received not very well. But as it is today, we are already almost 6 million. Okay, we are already almost 6 million. Government can very easily hit this 6.9 if they want to, I think so, over the next 5-6 years, right? Even if not by 2030, I think by the year 2035, 2040, easily this 6.9 million figure will happen. This is the reason why lots of HDB flats are being built across Singapore now, why all the MRT stations are being built, right? From the Thomson line to the Cross Island line, why all these things is required is because we need to support this 6.9 million population planning, right? And if Singaporeans are not getting married, not having children, this population will come from where? They have to come from outside lah. Immigration lah, right? You import people lah, right? Import. So import from where? And as everybody knows, right, Malaysian is the #1 source of import, right? It's an open secret, I guess, that Malaysians have the easiest time to get work permit. Malaysians have the easiest time to get PR or even citizenship in Singapore because we are culturally similar, right, and close by. And of course, we have a large population as well. So this is actually a trend that has happened for the past 20-30 years, actually past 50 years, right, since Singapore's existence, right? So a lot of these people will come from Malaysia, right? Let's not say all, but a lot or significant portion will come from Malaysia, right? Now, the other thing that you will see here is actually aging, right? Now, the red dot, right, is 10 years ago, right? And the green dot, right, is, the green dot is 10 years ago. So male and female, right? And you can basically see that Singapore population is now older, right? You can see the young one all shrink, right? 10 years ago, there were a lot more younger people in this category, right? And now a lot more people are in the older age range, right? Because Singapore is aging. So aging, two things happen, right? Number one, the older people don't work. When they don't work, right, they don't contribute to the economy in terms of workforce, right? Of course, old people also less likely to have children, all that, right? And number two, when you are retired, right, you consume more social services. That means people will help you in your retirement age, right? Because you're elderly, you use more hospital, you use more public transport, right? Because you old already, right? So you tend to use more social services. So that's a strain on the economy. So when citizen is aging, right, then you have these issues in place. Are there enough working population to support the elderly, right? And is there enough services to support the elderly, right? So this becomes another pressure on or change on how real estate will be utilized, right? And you can see, right, number of aging increase, age 65 and above go up, right? Working age between 20 to 64 go down. And because less children, also the number of children also, those below 19 also going down, right? And this is the number of birth, okay, going down, right? Now 30,000 birth compared to earlier years, okay? And age pyramid, right? You can see, you will notice, where are all the PRs? Where are all the PR? You notice all the PR in Singapore are in the working age range. I repeat, a lot of the PR in Singapore are in the working age range, 20 to 65. Most of the PR are here because you require the PR to supplement the citizen, because not enough citizen, right? So you have PR cover this gap. Right? Of course, PR young one also you want, right? Young PR in the future become citizen, right? Or even PR. So you have a lot of young one also, right? You don't see a lot of old PR. Notice, old PR almost zero. Old PR minimal, but PR in working age and young one. Okay, so how to solve Singapore problem? Immigration, right? Okay, so I go back to the last point. So how does this affect real estate? Now let's try and end this video with some summary, right? So when you have aging population, slowing population growth, but you also have urbanization, people still, so negative is this point, right? Population growth slowing, less marriage, less children, people aging. Bad for property in Singapore. But good is urbanization. People come to Singapore to work. Immigration pull in this thing. But still, Singapore is an island, right? And Singapore is only 600 plus square kilometers, right? So, but this will this urbanization, right, will still mean that Singapore will still need to import people in the years to come, right? I don't think in Singapore it's easy to solve this problem about less marriage and less children. This is a problem that I think not only Singapore, but of course many other first world countries in the world have this issue. So this issue not easily resolved. So immigration is required. So they will import people from elsewhere, right? And Singapore will get more and more populated, and Singapore property prices as a result, right, will not drop, right? Singapore property prices will remain strong because population is here, 5.9 million people, right? And will grow, right? If they hit to the targeted 6.9 million people by 2030, Singapore property prices can only go up. And if they go up, right, JB property price will also go up because of the price difference. And JB is so near to Singapore, especially with MRT coming and things like that, right? And those people, where we need to reduce costs, we will move this cost to JB, right? And we will pull population into JB. So JB people come to Singapore, people from other parts of Johor come to JB, right, to work to replace those that from JB go to Singapore, because JB effectively become part of Singapore urbanized, right, in that sense, right? And you will see in the future, right, the rise of the mega cities. In fact, today we already have some mega cities, right? Mega cities, right? If you look at the biggest cities in the world, right, we have a slide on that. If you look at the biggest city in the world, right, like China, right, lots of mega cities in China are all 10 million population and above. I think Beijing is like 19 million, right? I think New York is also around 19 million. London is also more than 10 million, right? 10 million population above is normal, right? There are many cities in the world, 10 million and above, and they function very, very well. Singapore now, 5.9, how to become mega city. So cannot one. This 5.9, you have to look at it beyond national borders, right? You add the 2 million in JB, right? You become 5.96, almost 8 million already, right? Another couple more million pull in from the rest of Malaysia or the other parts of the world, right? Singapore will also, Greater Singapore, including JB Iskandar, will also be close to 10 million. If I'm the first one to coin this term, Greater Singapore, including Iskandar and JB, right? Please quote this to me. I'm the first person to say this will happen, right? We become JB economically becomes part of Singapore. We are integrated, we depend on each other, we complement each other as part of a mega city for Southeast Asia and become capital of big boy of Southeast Asia, right? So this is my plan, but this is my logic, right? But it will affect how real estate is consumed. There are many subsets which I will not discuss here, but these things will affect real estate. Think about it, right? About what I just said in this video, how it will affect property in JB, in Singapore, and there's a lot of plays that you can do with this trend coming up. So I hope that was useful to you, this video. Go and Google Singapore Population Report 2023 if you want to see more details from the government's report. I think yeah, it's quite fun. So thank you very much. I hope this topic was interesting to you and set up a lot of questions in your mind. That's the whole intention of today's video. If you like our content, do like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We do cover a lot about topics about Malaysia property, JB property, Singapore property as well. You can also sign up to our mailing list, scan this QR code, or drop me an email at contact@alphamarketingsg.com. We are also on Facebook at Alpha Marketing Facebook groups as well. And this is my phone number. Feel free to reach out to me. And thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you and bye-bye.